Hello and welcome to the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. We have two guests for today. We've got Mariana Falconier. She's the project director for the Together program. We've also got Diana Jacob. Do I have that one right?
That's
yes.
right.
Program coordinator for the Together program. And we're talking about a very, very interesting program that I kind of stumbled upon. So let's start off, Mariana. Can you tell us exactly what the Together program is?
Yes, the Together program is a program funded by the Administration of Children and Families. And with that funding, what we do is provide to primarily working couples and low-income couples with different services. The most important one is a 20-hour workshop where we try to help them work in groups of 4 to 8 couples on their communication, stress management, and how they manage their finances. So basically, we're giving them stress management, relationship education, and financial education, all integrated in this 20-hour workshop format.
How did the program come about?
The program started that part of the intervention a couple of years ago, back in 2009. And in 2009, I had been working by that time for 2 decades as a couples therapist, and I was really seeing all the time how couples were struggling with their finances. And actually, that's what the research shows, that that's one of the main problems that couples come to therapy for. So as a therapist, I was limited in how much I could help them. I could help them with their communication, I could help them with how they manage stress, but I could not really help them in how they manage their finances. I was not qualified for that. So I began having conversations with a financial counselor at Virginia Tech, that's the university where I'm working in. She was saying on her end, well, my struggle as a financial counselor is that when I work with an individual, when I work with a couple, many times I provide some advice or some guidance, and things don't happen a certain way because what gets in the middle are the emotions, is the relationship, between these 2 individuals. So after hearing that, and this was around 2009, so it was 1 year into, the financial crisis here in the United States, we began thinking about how we could help couples. And what was going around at that time were programs in a couple of universities where a couples therapist and a financial counselor would get together and would work with one couple in a sort of a therapy format. We thought that was costly. We need to come up with something that was beneficial to more couples at the same time. So that's how we designed this 20-hour, program in which 4 or 8 couples get together, and all sessions are led by a financial counselor and a couple therapist.
So it's a group of couples.
It's a group of couples,
3 or
yes.
4, 5, how many couples?
Ideally between 4 and 8, no more than 8, because then it becomes too crowded. It's not therapy, but we need to have, usually we work in a large room, and we need to have a space for couples to do. There's a lot of concepts that are explained, a lot of psychoeducation as we call it, but you also have, couples have the opportunity of doing a lot of activity, hands-on activities in the room on their own, and then there are group discussions. So you have the benefits to some extent of therapy in the sense that you have some individual work, with each couple can work on their own issues separately, but then you have the group format where everybody gets to share what they choose to share about a certain activity, and there's a lot of, that they're going through the same thing that we're going through, and it's very therapeutic.
How do you select your couples?
The way we select the couples is basically we take in this program any couple that has been living together for a year, and that at least one is not retired, because it's different financial challenges if both are retired. And we believe that 1 year, it's around 1 year. I mean, 11 months, we're going to still, take them in the program, because we feel that the financial issues made their way into the couple, and they're really a big threat when the couple have been living together for some time.
During this 20-hour workshop, what are some of the areas in which you all cover?
Well, we start, it has 9 modules, and let me say just for a second that what we do in those 20 hours was tested as a program in the past with 24 couples, and the results were very good. I'll tell you more about if you want to. But in these modules, what we do is first explain what stress is in general, what is economic stress? How do you tell that as a couple you're really facing a stress that comes from your financial issues, and how it gets into the relationship with your partner, how it changes your mood, how it affects your work, how it affects the relationship with your children, your parenting. And then we go from there to helping couples develop effective strategies to deal with stress in general, what we call economic stress, with the stress from financial problems in particular. A distinctive feature of our program is that we work with both partners together, so we work a lot not only on what each of them can do individually, like, okay, I'm gonna do a relaxation exercise, or I'm gonna do something by myself, but also what they can do together. And what one does helps the other or not. So there's a lot of that. And then we move into communication about money problems. We tell them how to communicate, how to prevent escalations, arguments that may end up in heated arguments. We help them understand the relationship that each of them has with money, and why they're making some decisions, why it's so hard for one to save on a certain area, why it's important for the other to spend on a certain area. So, and then with all that, we begin teaching them about good financial management, which is, budgeting together, establishing goals together. We also teach them about credit. We teach them about predatory practices so that, they can protect themselves. And then we help them focus on one of the problems they have to work together to resolve them with all these tools. So by the time they arrive at the financial issues, they've been trained into how to talk about them, having understanding for each other's, relationship with money, and how to protect the relationship from all the stress that this creates.
Diana, what is your role in this?
Basically, because this is 2 universities, the Virginia Tech and the University of Maryland, coming together to work on this together project. Basically, I am overseeing the University of Maryland side. I have a background in personal finance, so I've been looking over the curriculum, and it looks actually pretty good. It is different. I've been in the field, I want to say, since 2008, and I say what's unique about this program is the fact that it's not just teaching money. I think it's 2 distinct factors, which is, 1, it's focusing on the couple. We require that the couple comes together, and it's not just individuals coming to learn about personal finance.
Because usually if someone wants to know about personal finance, it's a more individual thing. Mm-hmm. So with your program, you've got people coming together, and that's got to be somewhat of a challenge, because people have different ideas about money. One person in the couple may think maybe more of a spender,
right.
The other may be more of a saver. How do you bring those couples together to come to the common goal of having a harmonious household when dealing with finances?
To me, that's the best part of the program when you work with the couples. One of the things that we spend a great deal of time in that 20-hour workshop is that what we do is give, for example, each partner the opportunity to interview the other partner, really get in depth into the history of relationship with money that your partner has. For example, what were the messages that you received about how to handle money as you were growing up? For example, what are the cultural messages? Depending on your religious background or the country you come from, you may believe that there are different ways of handling the money, or even if it's okay to talk about money, at dinner, for example. And then moving on, what have been critical events on their lives? Because of course, if you've dealt with bankruptcy, or if you lost your home to foreclosure, or any critical event, of course, it's going to shape a lot how you decide to deal with money. So we believe a lot in the understanding of creating that, dialogue between both partners by understanding each other and then finding common grounds. It's not easy, and many times we may say, well, we'll refer you to a financial counselor, a couple therapist for further work.
So what have you seen, what are some of the common threads? You're working with several couples. What are some of the common things you saw about, what did you call it, economic stress?
Economic stress, yes, we can call it money. Actually, in the workshop, we call it money stress,
Okay.
which is an easier term to remember. I think that there are a number of challenges in deciding when money is tight, where to spend it first. I think that there is a lot of struggles in that regard. Then I think that we see a lot of couples being subject to what I said earlier, predatory practices. In their desperation, to get the money, they may end up, getting a loan out of their car, from a car, which is one of the most common practices. And so we see a lot of those struggles. But one of the things we see a lot, too, is that many times there is, not always, but many times, there is one partner that knows more or handles more the finances. So when you bring both partners together and learn about the basics and what they can do together, and you sort of like put them together to have a conversation about this in our workshops, the partner that was dealing with all the economics finds that he feels less alone, more supported. And the one that was more in the dark, that was also very stressed out about not knowing, plays a different part, and so they feel more together working as a team. And we know that when there are, all the research in stress shows that when you're dealing with a big stressor, that can make couples, fall apart, or they may strengthen the bond. So what we try to do is try to help them strengthen the bond.
What have you seen? What's a common thing that you've seen?
Well, I think just the main thing, a foundation of just the lack of knowledge. And I think that's why that there is such, that Mariana even decided that it was a good thing to even put financial literacy into this program, because I believe you said it wasn't in before. And I think it's interesting enough, even though there's been years of pushing financial literacy, there's still a lack of knowledge. And then moving forward after financial literacy, just financial capability. Given the knowledge, are they doing anything? And I think with these workshops, they really promote just activation of what you learn. And like Mariana mentioned earlier, there's periods of time where you work one-on-one. You work with your partner on actual activities. And I think it's not just about knowing, but knowing and doing, so there's a gap. A lot of people know, that's what research is showing, that a lot of people know, but then you don't see too many people doing. So I feel like the program and the workshops are helpful in this manner, because they're actually starting it, and then we even assign additional items that they can work on at home before they come back to the next class.
And the program lasts how many weeks?
Well, the program is inserting, the Together program offers this 20-hour workshop.
Yes.
And we usually deliver it in, at this point we're doing a format which is 8 weeks, 2 hours and a half each time.
And it's once a week?
Once a week, yes. Sometimes there are holidays in between, and we need to do one more week. But that's that portion. Then there's another portion of the program that has to do with case management and employment, and that's longer.
Let's talk about the employment, because there's no need to talk about finances if neither one of the people are employed. So, and of course we know that plays a major part, because you might have a couple where one person's working and the other is not, or one person is making a lot more money than the other person. So how do you make decisions in that situation when it comes to finances?
Yeah, well, we think that was what we were thinking when we thought how we could strengthen this 20-hour workshop. And definitely was like, we can teach a lot about finances, but if partners are unemployed or they don't generate the income they need, we have a problem. So we said we really need to incorporate an employment component into the program. Not all couples that come to us need that, but many may need it. So if the case manager meets with the couple and assesses that there is a need of employment, then we refer them we work with employment agencies. And what we mean in need, if a partner wants to have a second job, or one of both partners, or if they want to change jobs, improve income somehow, if they're unemployed and they're looking for a job, then one of the wonderful things we have these days is these one-stop employment centers that are funded through the Work Opportunity and Investment Act, and these are federally funded programs, and they offer different services to individuals that are seeking employment support. It could be from how to put together a CV to training in a particular, area, or just connecting you with employers. So there are different things. They do their own assessment, but so our program works closely with those programs, and in addition, we provide funding for those individuals that do not qualify for, those programs because there are certain federal guidelines requirements. So,
before we run out of time, I want to make sure we talk about the success rate of the program. How successful has it been when you can actually bring couples together to talk about this, to get some counseling on it? How successful have you?
So the success we had was only that we were able to measure it so far was with the 20-hour workshop, and because right now we have just added the employment component and the case management. It was very successful. Couples reporting in general, first to be able to deal with the stress together more often, and that was more satisfying, that they could support each other. Then they reported to feel less stressed over financial issues, and they reported to be able to handle finances in a better way. So all those were successes. And particularly men reported to be more satisfied with their relationship. And particularly women reported to know more about finances. And I don't want to be stereotyping here, but it could have been that many of the couples we had more traditional gender orientation roles, who knows, but clearly, I mean, the benefits were for both partners, but more pronounced, the understanding the relationship more and being more satisfied with it was something that was more pronounced in men, the change was more marked in men. And in women, it was more the piece about knowing how to handle finances. That had, how a significant increase, more than for men. So, and there was less aggression between the partners, which was for us a very, important outcome. Now, I have to say that these were all heterosexual couples.
Yes, that's what I wanted to
mention.
mention.
Yeah, and right now, that was not a requirement. It just happened to be that way. But our program is open to any type of partnership. So we take
same-sex partners are welcome.
Exactly.
Into the program.
Yes. Any ethnicity, any race, and any age, and any age. As long as it's 18 or older.
Right.
But then, yes, any sexual
But you know what, I have
orientation.
to ask you this question. Do you find that, and I don't want to be stereotyped as far as men and women, who do you find in the couple is more, gets more stressed? Is it the male or the female?
Well, this is an interesting finding because in other areas of stress, it depends on the area of stress, but I began doing my research almost 15 years ago on how stressed partners are over money problems, specifically that. And women were always significantly more stressed over money issues than men were, which was a little bit counterintuitive, not counterintuitive, but you wouldn't expect that if you would go with the idea that for some decades men were more like in charge of the finances. I'm not saying by any means that that's okay or true or of everyone, but that's what the literature tended to report. So it was, and then we began looking at other populations, and consistently we would find the same thing. Actually, I'm doing now, putting together several studies, the findings, and that seems to be a common thread.
That's very interesting.
It's very
I would have said the opposite. I would have guessed the opposite.
No, I think that what happens is that, as in many other stress processes in couples, when one partner gets stressed, the other one is not indifferent to that stress. Either with economic problems, there's the common stress or the common source of stress. but then it's also picking up stress in your partner, sort of a spillover. So I see you concerned about, this, that you see that we cannot pay the bills or anything is happening. I am stressing out about that. And I think the additional component of many women sometimes not knowing about how we're going to resolve that, I think increases the stress even more.
We've just got a few minutes left, so I'd like to wrap up the program. Tell me, what do you think the future of this program is? What would you like to see?
At this point, we offer the program here in Northern Virginia, in Montgomery County, in Prince George's County, and actually Diana is in charge a lot of the recruitment of couples. So I'd like to see the program going into other geographic areas.
Right.
We're actually evaluating the program at the same time, so I hope the program shows that by adding case management, which is where we connect couples to all the services they may need in addition to employment and finances, that it's a successful program, that it can be replicated in other places.
Well, Diana, what do you think? What is your hope for the future?
Well, I agree with Mariana. We want to make this program available in other locations, but we also want to have a full program. So we want to be able to reach out, at least in the current locations, which is Northern Virginia and Maryland. So we want to see a full program, and we want to see the results and see if any changes need to be made or if things are
Especially
good.
with couples, the statistics are stacked against couples. And they're just outrageous, the number of couples who make it and the number of couples who don't. So this program that's helping to keep couples together is fantastic.
Yeah,
It really
our
is.
logo is actually, if you see what we put underneath, is like helping couples being a stronger family. So we really believe that by helping the couples, we can help all the family.
Well,
Right.
I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I want to give your names one more time. Mariana Falconier, and she's the program director of the Together program. Diana Jacob is the project coordinator, and you're with Virginia, the
Virginia Tech.
Virginia
yes.
Tech, and you're with the University of Maryland, and you are together. Thank you so much for joining us today. You've been watching the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Have a great day.